education. And we kick off our webcast with a man who is learning a lot about education, and he does spend the majority of his career dealing with the educational circles, but he's dealing with it now. Judge Steven Rhodes, his background is in bankruptcy. You all remember him from the Detroit bankruptcy and the grand bargain, but now he has thrown his hat into the ring to try to save the Detroit public school system and make sure that there is a future for 47,000 kids in that system. Judge Rhodes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We seem to have still some tug of war going on in the legislature trying to solve this DPS issue. Bring us up to date, as you know it, where things stand between the House's plan, the Senate's plan, and where do you think we're going?
Okay, well, the good news is there seems to be an agreement to launch a new school district and to pay off the old school district's debt so that the portion of the revenue that was going to pay that debt can now go into the classroom and help to educate the kids.
Right.
So that's a great development, and I applaud the legislature for taking that step. Where things stand on the other major issues is less certain at this point. There is still, as far as I know, not an agreement on the additional funding that DPS needs to launch a new school district with a reasonable chance of success, and there's still not an agreement on what to do about the Detroit Education Commission. On the first point, my position is that we need $200 million to give the new school district a reasonable chance of success.
And anything less probably means payless paydays.
Well, I wouldn't say it means payless paydays. I want to be very clear about that. What it will mean is more of a struggle and a challenge to repair school buildings. That's really what's at stake here.
Which are in bad shape. Not all of them, but many of them.
Some of them are, yes, and the reason they're in bad shape is because of the money that we've had to spend on debt service we haven't been able to put into the schools. And as you know, when you don't perform regular maintenance on any building, it deteriorates and it costs more to fix it than it would have cost just to maintain it. The other issue is the DEC, and it's my position that we in DPS and indeed all education in Detroit needs a DEC to enhance academic achievement across all schools in Detroit.
The DEC is not currently in the House plan, though. Right?
It is not.
All right.
I understand they're working on some version of it, but the DEC that the Senate passed and that the governor supports is not in the House version.
And Mayor Duggan also wants the DEC in the plan so that he has some say-so in it, particularly in terms of this balance between the public school system, the charter schools, which are a key part of the overall system now because there are so many, and that people feel as though they need to be able to have choice, but they also want to make sure that there is some governance along the way.
I think that the primary motivation for it is to raise the level of academic achievement of all of the schools in Detroit, charters and DPS. And the reason we want to do that is not just to educate our kids better, although that is our goal. We would like to bring back into the city some of the 27,000 students who are living in Detroit but going to the suburban schools. We'd like to bring them back into Detroit. So those are the goals of the DEC, and I support it. I think we need it.
You've been to Lansing numerous times.
I have.
Will you be headed back there, if needed, when you get off this island, to twist a few more arms?
Well, okay, I don't twist arms.
Okay, all right.
I educate legislators on
whatever
why
terminology
I think,
you're comfortable
fair
with.
enough. But yes, I'm ready, willing, and able to go back to Lansing at the request of anyone, whether it's any specific legislators, legislative leadership, or the governor's office. I want to be there to help support DPS's needs in the legislature.
If the House eventually comes up to the dollar amount that the Senate is talking about, but DEC is not in there, do you still think that this will be a no-go situation? Do we need to, one, get them on the same dollar level, and two, DEC should be a part of both plans?
Well, I support the DEC, and I think it should be passed. But to address DPS's current and urgent needs, we need $200 million.
You said to me and some other journalists not too long ago when we were on Off the Record, you said this scene over the Detroit public school system is a whole lot tougher than the bankruptcy of the city of Detroit. Why so?
Well, it's because of me. I mean, I had been a bankruptcy judge at that point in time when I took the Detroit case nearly 30 years, so I knew how to run a bankruptcy case successfully. This experience is new for me, so that's really what makes it more challenging.
All right. You're learning a lot in the process
I am.
about politics, I would assume.
I am.
Yeah. How much is politics getting in the way of just getting what needs to be done for the children?
See, I don't think of it as politics getting in the way. I think we need to do a better job in educating not just legislators in Lansing, but everyone in the state of Michigan about public education in Detroit. We need to educate them about the good job we do. We need to tell them about what our challenges are. And it's really because we haven't done such a good job in that they don't understand why we are where we are. I suppose you could call that politics, but what I have found, Chuck, is that when I talk to people who are out of state, legislators and ordinary citizens, about DPS, and I sit down with them and explain to them what's going on in DPS, they are very receptive and ultimately very willing to help. The people of the state of Michigan are helping people, and they just need to understand what's going on, and then I believe they'll get on board. That's the premise that I work from.
Final question. If there's a message to send to parents and educators of DPS, what would it be?
Our number one priority at DPS is academics. We are an institution that is dedicated to the education of the children who come to DPS. And our superintendent is working on an extraordinary academic plan to carry DPS into the future. This is a plan that will have the input of a wide range of people within DPS and will assure a continued movement toward excellence in education in DPS. And so I hope they will stick with us and work with us on this academic plan.
Obviously a very, very important issue.
Yes.
It deals with the future of our city and the future
Yes,
of this state.
yes, that's right.
Judge, thank you so
No,
much for
thank
stopping
you.
in. We
Thank you,
really
Chuck.
appreciate it.
You're
All
welcome.
right, and you know that you're welcome to come back at any time,
Well, thank
whether
you
it's
for that,
here
too.
or it's down in Detroit.
Okay.
All right,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Judge Steven Rhodes, he is the transition manager for the Detroit Public Schools, dealing with a very, very tough issue, but he's working very hard at it, and we'll see where it takes us. Thank you.